When? It's on? You need to tell me. Okay. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva. Srimvatam Swakata Krishna,
Srimvatam Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha,
Punya Kirtanaha,
Vidyantasto Bhadrani,
Vidyantasto Bhadrani,
Vedunoti Savritsatam,
Vedunoti Savritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu,
Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke,
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke,
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki,
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we have a class on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, entitled Scheduled Incarnations, Text 30. Rinita, Yad, Yad, Upabandam, Amusya, Mata, Rinita, Yad, Upabandam, Amusya, Rinita, Yad, Upabandam, Amusya, Mata,
Granita Yad Yada Bhutapandam Amusya Mata.
It'd be easier for me if I maybe everybody is the
Would you say that fourth word again?
Granita Yad Upabandam, Amusya Mata.
Granita Yad Yada Bhutapandam Amusya Mata.
Shobam, Sutasya,
Na, Tu, Tat, Amusya, Mati.
Shobam, Sutasya, Natu, Tat, Amusya, Mati.
Shubham Sutasya Natu Tat Mati. Yaj Jrimbato Sya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Yajrimbato Sya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Yajrimbato Sya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Samviksha.
Samviksha.
The accent is, it's a long I. Sankita. Mana. Pratibodhita Sit. Samviksha Sankita Mana Pratibodhita Sit.
Samviksha Sankita Mana Pratibodhita Sit.
Granita Yad Upabandham Amusya Mata.
Granita Yad Upabandham Amusya Mata.
Shobam Sutasya Natu Tadamusya Mati.
Shobham Sutasya Natu Tadamusya Mati.
Yajrimbatosya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Yajrimbatosya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Samviksha Sankitamana Pratibodhita Sit.
Samviksha Sankita Mana Pratibodhita Sit.
Is that two or three?
I think it was two.
Okay. Granita Yad Upabandam Amusya Mata.
Granita Yad Upabandam Amusya Mata.
Shobam Sutasya Natu Tadamusya Mati.
Shobham Sutasya Natu Tadamusya Mati.
Yajrimbatosya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Yajrimbatosya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Samviksha Sankitamana Pratibodhita Sit.
Samviksha Sankita Mana Pratibodhita Sit. Grinita Yad Upadam Amusya Mata.
Granita Yad Upadam
Amusya Mata. Shubham Sutasya Natu Tadamusya Mati. Shubham Sutasya Natu Tadamusya Mati. Yajrimbatosya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Yajrimbatosya Vadane Bhuvanani Gopi.
Sam Samviksha Samgita Mana Pratibodhi Tachet.
Samviksha Sankita Mana Pratibodhita Sit. Want to try her? Huh? Okay, word meanings. Granita,
Granita.
by taking up.
By taking up.
Yat, yat.
Yat, yat.
Whatsoever.
Whatsoever.
Upabandham.
Ubabandam.
Ropes for tying.
Ropes for tying.
Amusha.
Amusha.
His.
His.
Mata.
Mother.
Shubham.
Shubham. Ropes.
Utasya.
Sutasya.
Of her son.
Of her son. Not. To.
However. Tat tat. By and by. Amusha.
His.
Mati. Was sufficient. Yat. That which.
Drimbataha.
Opening the mouth. Asya. Him.
Of him. Vadane.
In the mouth. Bhuvanani. The world. Gopi. The cowherd woman. Samviksha. By so seeing, not by, just so seeing it.
So seeing it.
Shankitamanaha. Doubtful in mind. Pratibodhita. Convinced in a different way. Asit. Was so done. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
When the cowherd woman, Krishna's foster mother Yashoda, was trying to tie the hands of her son with ropes, she found the rope to be always insufficient in length. And when she finally gave up, Lord Krishna, by and by, opened his mouth, wherein the mother found all the universes situated. Seeing this, she was doubtful in her mind, but she was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son. Please repeat. When the cowherd woman, Krishna's foster mother Yashoda, was trying to tie the hands of her son, with ropes, she found the rope to be always insufficient in length. And when she finally gave up, Lord Krishna, by and by, opened his mouth, wherein the mother found all the universes situated. Seeing this, she was doubtful in her mind. But she was convinced in a different manner. Of the mystic nature of her son. Report. One day, Lord Krishna, as the naughty child, disturbed his mother Yashoda, and she began to tie up the child with ropes just to punish him. But no matter how much rope she used, she found it always insufficient. Then she became fatigued. But in the meantime, the Lord opened his mouth, and the affectionate mother saw within the mouth of her son all the universes situated together. The mother was astonished, but out of her deep affection for Krishna, she thought that the Almighty Godhead Narayana had kindly looked after her son, just to protect him from all the continuous calamities happening to him. Because of her deep affection for Krishna, she could never think that her very son was Narayan, the personality of Godhead himself. That is the action of Yoga Maya, the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, which acts to perfect all the pastimes of the Lord with his different types of devotees. Who could play such wonders without being God? I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So the first thing I noticed was this is a different order from what we're used to in the Krishna book. So in the Krishna book, I read it again, make sure I wasn't mixed up. In the Krishna book, of course, Krishna surrendered to his mother because she was so trying so hard, and So he allowed her to tie him finally. And then at a different time, Krishna was accused by his playmates, probably earlier, he was accused by his playmates of eating dirt. So she wanted to look at his mouth. He agreed, you can look at my mouth and see, I haven't eaten any dirt. So she looked and she saw all the universes. And so as we're used to it in the Krishna book, it's two different incidents like that. But you know what? Ramaya lives for 100 years, and each year has many days, 300 some days, right? So once in a day of Brahma, Krishna comes. So he could be playing out these pastimes in many little different ways. And in fact, this was early in the universe because Narada Muni is just now asking Lord Brahma, he's just asking his father, so who do you worship? So this is early in the universe when Lord Brahma is explaining everything to Narada Muni. In fact, we're still on that. This is scheduled incarnations is Lord Brahma explaining to Narada Muni. So which day, which event of which day is he describing? So all these pastimes happen again and again, but they have little individual variations. So that may account for the difference.
Well, but also that's true. But I think in some place they say that Brahma is Trikala Gyat, which means past, present, future. He has knowledge, but then other times it's covered over.
Yeah.
Like it's possible that he is seeing this, and but Krishna's giving him that intelligence at that moment, and then because then later on in the day, he has to test out this cowherd boy.
It could be. That could be also.
He did have to test him out.
That could be also, but strangely, Krishna comes once in a day. He apparently makes a mistake every day.
Yeah.
Change.
Or
So-
there's also I've heard that I'm not sure about this, or maybe, but when the day starts, they have to kind of be refreshed.
Maybe. At any rate, this was in a situation of Narada Muni early in the universe asking Lord Brahma, who he's meditating on. And so Lord Brahma is explaining everything to him about Krishna. And this is Lord Brahma speaking. And he's telling the difference. And Shukadeva Goswami, when he recounts the story, he's so faithfully repeating it. He repeats it exactly as it was said. He doesn't change exactly, make little adjustments to what Lord Brahma said. He makes sure to say exactly, when he tells a story, he tells it a little bit different order in the 10th canto. That's he himself telling the story. So this is Lord Brahma telling, and Shukadeva Goswami is faithfully repeating it. So there's some differences, but like so what? Because there's many reasons these differences could be there, and it still is completely valid and true. So, makes sense?
Yeah, but there's so many layers to it, because when you were saying that, I was thinking, Sukadeva is telling Parikya about this, but Vyasadeva told
Shukadeva.
Right.
So
who's
Shukadeva,
speaking, really, I guess, we're hearing Sukadeva explain he's explaining what Brahma heard. Yeah,
I thought of that too. He heard this from his father Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva, we know, has spiritual television. He has the ability to see past, present, and future and everywhere, anywhere.
right.
So he told this story to Sukadeva Goswami, who's repeating it to Parikshit Maharaj, faithfully according to what it was said, even though when he goes in and tells the 10th canto, which he learned from his father, he's going to quote his father in a little different, same story, a little bit different way. So it's all right. When I was a new devotee, that bothered me kind of, is really? Are we just like making up explanations why it's different? No, because I'm starting to understand how important this spiritual television is, seeing past, present, and future. Srila Vyasadeva is an incarnation of God, and I was trying to figure out whether he was actually Vishnu Tattva or actually Jiva Tattva, and I was researching. I found all kinds of things, but I couldn't really figure out for sure. But I found out that in a way it doesn't matter, because there are incarnations. Krishna incarnates himself sometimes as a jiva, sometimes and we're all incarnations of him in a sense, very limited. And sometimes, the great devotees are a specialized incarnation with special empowerment, or he comes as a portion of himself, not separated. And the only real difference is separated or not separated. Otherwise, there seems to be such a variety of size and power on both sides. So I just found it fascinating. And
It's
I still
interesting
don't
you
know.
said that, but Narada Muni himself, I just was reading in the 5 features of the Panchatattva, and he actually is also considered is the incarnation of a devotee.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the incarnation of a pure devotee. He is.
Yes, Srimad, right.
Yeah.
That's Narada Muni.
Yeah. So to try to figure out, who's Jiva Tattva, who's Vishnu Tattva, then you go into all this depth. I found all these things that are, in a way, confusing, but in a way I had a deeper understanding that there's so much variety to both. That they can be like equals, right? Because the 4 Kumaras and Narada Muni, one place said, are almost plenary expansions, but they're jivas. So there's such variety of varieties. And we can't always know for sure if somebody is actually separated or not. The difference is some souls are separated, eternally individuals that can fall into Maya, and some souls are not. And they can be just like Jiva souls, but they're not separated. So it's quite fascinating, and you can't ever get a clear answer because there's so much variety. I mean, I was studying, looking up in my search bar and everything, and all I found was more and more variety.
Didn't know also because of time and place.
Huh?
Like, if we tried to read Bhakti-siddhanta's literature, it would be for me personally, very hard for me to understand. But Srila Prabhupada has so mercifully come to the material world just to give us a way to understand Krishna consciousness in this age of Kali.
I was reading Prabhupada's. I was searching Prabhupada's writings, the books, and I just found more and more variety. And trying to get someplace a cut and dried thing, where's it going to say specifically? And I just found varieties and varieties. And
Well, isn't that
just
also
was amazing.
relishable by the devotees?
Pardon?
That verse where when we're trying to talk about Krishna, because it's very relishable, it's a very wonderful thing. So the more and more variety you get, the more and more.
Yeah, it just enriches your thoughts. Yeah. So continue? Okay. Let's see. So that was one aspect of this.
You're on a roll.
Huh?
You're on a roll.
I'm on a roll?
Yeah.
I got a little bit more here. And another thing about this is the importance of Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya makes Krishna seem like a regular person. Yoga Maya covers Krishna's godhood so that you can get close to him. Yoga Maya is the Maya of the spiritual world or of Krishna's pastimes. And yoga means to link with the Supreme. Maya means illusion. And illusion to help you link more closely to the Supreme is Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya helps you forget he's God so that you can be intimate with him. Whereas Maha-Maya, big illusion, is what we're in here. And we forget God, period. We don't forget that God is God, we forget God. So that's what Maha-Maya does. Because we want to act independently, enjoy independently. So we forget he's God. Mahamaya helps us forget about him. Just not forget he's God, just forget about him. And maybe think we're God or something. So that's what Mahamaya is for. So we can have this chance to try all our things that we wanted to try. So Krishna gives us this opportunity. But in this case of his pastimes, the Maya is Yoga Maya, helping his intimate associates to forget he's God and just see him as one of them. So, let's see.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
sometimes I've read, maybe you can clarify, that there's different personalities, and they'll say that's
Different
Yoga Maya.
personalities, what?
That are Yoga Maya.
Different personalities of Yoga? Oh, Yoga Maya and Maha Maya are different personalities?
Different. Okay.
Like that?
You mean like Parvati and
Yeah, different
Lakshmi?
personalities, and then they'll say this is Yoga Maya. Like when she went into with the pastime of when
in the jail.
yeah, and then
That was
they
Srimad.
replace yes, so and then sometimes you'll see I'll explain.
Well, sometimes Lakshmi is Parvati. And sometimes Radharani is Lakshmi and Parvati. I mean, they're different personalities, but This is what I mean. There are separated and not separated. Yogamaya is not separated. She's not going to fall into Maya. She's connected. She's creating Maya, but she's not going to fall into Maya. She's an aspect of Radharani, not separated. Whereas we are separated.
It's, to me, I'm going to say this very carefully, but we often talk about Vishnu Tattva, the material nature, and Jiva Tattva, that's marginal. And of course, Lord Shiva, we do say that Lord Shiva is not quite Vishnu Tattva, but he's not a Jiva.
Yeah.
Well, similarly, along these lines, with Yogamaya, it's like, or Subhadra, and even Radharani, they're not Jiva Tattva either. They're not Vishnu Tattva. They're an energy. They're the pleasure potency of the Lord. Radharani is the pleasure potency of the Lord. So there's that category, Vishnu Tattva, Jiva, the energies of the Lord, the pleasure, power. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen that actually written, but that's what it's also said that that's what they are.
I think I have read this kind of thing. I don't know where, but the Shakti Tattva is in the category of Vishnu Tattva on that level, in other words, not separated. So Radha and Krishna, well, in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that Radha and Krishna separated themselves. Not the kind of separated, like we are, but they separated themselves for pastimes.
Right.
So if they're not separated like we are, like Radharani is never subject. She may act some part or something, but she's never actually subject to material illusion as we are. Now, Krishna and Radha, they like to be subject to Yogamaya because it helps their pastimes, but they're not actually controlled by it. They just like to be. So there's still the main difference is separated or not separated. There can be unlimited expansions of Krishna. Some of them are not separated and some of them are separated. This is what I found in my studies. Some are large, some are small, some are full, some are partial. Some are separated like us but still empowered. Some are separated and not particularly empowered like us. So there's all these varieties, and so what do we start with? That they expand themselves. What did I see? Oh, interesting thing I read in my search. Uddhava is an eternal associate of Krishna. That might possibly make him in the category of Vishnu Tattva, because the cowherd boys are kind of on that level, but they're expanded, but they're different personalities. But the main cowherd boys are not going to fall down like lesser cowherd boys. There's different types. And I don't know if Uddhava is an eternal associate. He could possibly be in that category. I don't know. But anyways, the interesting thing was a partial incarnation or partial expansion of Uddhava was one of the Vasus, who desired to become an associate of the Lord. And Uddhava is already an eternal associate of the Lord. I read this, Prabhupada said it. And I probably don't know if I wrote this down, but my writing's really scribbly. I can't study it out now. But anyway, one of his partial expansion was one of the Vasus, which means like a demigod level, I guess. And he desired to be an eternal associate. Therefore, he became Uddhava, Krishna's companion in the pastimes. This is quite fascinating. This is how deep and rich and how much variety and variegatedness there is to all this expansion business. And individual jiva souls are supposed to be able to expand themselves slightly, like a dozen times at most, or 8 times, 9 times, something like that. So then they say they have to be doing all the same thing. But if they're not in exactly the same place, they can't be doing exactly the same thing. So, it's very...
That's if you're practicing mystic yoga.
Yeah, if you're practicing mystic yoga or if you're purified.
No, if you're purified and you're actually a liberated soul as a jiva, you can... there are many examples of those personalities that, say, Hanuman, who's in one Leela with Ram, then he's in Lord Chaitanya's as Maragupta.
Yeah.
He's also something to do, Krishna's Leela as well. I can't remember right now.
Simultaneously.
But you can also, like, there's a discussion about Haridas Thakur being Lord Brahma and possibly Prahlad. I mean, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says both things. I mean, so these, that's the point is that as you're saying, I'm contradicting, and I'm just trying to also understand is that it's not. We understand the basic outline, but there's so many shades,
So many variations.
and you can't ever really grasp it all because Krishna can't. As soon as he tries to understand himself, he's already expanded.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. So we can't just say, okay, now I got it, I understand. No, it's like this.
And Uddhava wanted to be a blade of grass. So Uddhava expanded and became a blade of grass in Vrindavan. So that the gopis, the dust of their lotus feet would be on him, would be on his head. So yet Uddhava is an eternal companion, eternal associate of Krishna.
Arjuna is another example.
Yeah.
Arjuna, like he said, Krishna says, you were with me when I spoke to Vivaswan.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastime when Krishna takes Arjuna to Mahavishnu's abode, Mahavishnu says, I took the sons of the Brahmins because I knew that and he refers to them as the incarnation of Narayan.
Yeah.
And that you were appearing and I wanted to get your darshan.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. And when you study it, you just get kind of a little bit thrilled about it, because it gets deeper and deeper. So
and also the thing is that when we were studying, after Prabhupada left, there was a lot of discussion about, what is a Kanishta-adhikari, Madhyama-adhikari, and an Uttama-adhikari, and what is like Srila Prabhupada, a Mahabhagavat, has to come to the platform of a Madhyama-adhikari in order to preach, because an Uttama-adhikari sees everyone as a devotee except for himself, whereas you have to be able to discriminate
in a practical way.
You have to discriminate who the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the devotees, the innocent, and the demonic. So there was a lot of discussion about what is a Nitya Siddha, and then so one example that was being given was that, say you have been following the sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti, and by following it perfectly, you're now becoming liberated, but you're still here. So you have one foot here, one foot there.
Yeah.
But who's to say that you may have one foot there and one foot here? In other words, you may have come down and you have one foot still there and one foot here. You understand what I'm saying? So who's to make that judgment? There isn't. You can't say, well, this one's just starting, and then you say eternal. You then become an eternal liberated soul. So and you can become by sadhana bhakti or guru kripa or your nitya siddha. You never really fell down. But even if you get guru kripa, even if you get perfect purified again and establish your perfect position, you're an eternal liberated soul. You're not to be considered anything but. So anyone practicing Krishna consciousness is
Well, we have an internal constitutional position waiting for us to realize
right. So
it.
That's why anyone practicing it, we should be completely, totally, even if we, somehow that just can't seem to understand them or they can't understand you, we have to completely, on a clinical, objective level, that they are an exalted personality.
Who is it now? I'm a little bit.
Anyone that's practicing. If you're practicing Krishna consciousness, you don't get along with that person.
Yeah.
That person doesn't get along with you.
Yeah.
And you may have all good reasons, and they may have all good reasons, but on a clinical, pure level, that person is actually in the process of being reestablished as their eternal position.
Yeah.
So you have to be respectful to everyone.
So we have to practice seeing, while we're preaching in the Madhava level, we have to practice thinking the Uttama level, even though we're not there yet. We have to at least remember to practice thinking that way.
But at least we should be seeing them as devotees.
Yeah.
There was one thing I just heard, a memory. Let me just see if I can remember it correctly. I have to rehear it because it was very fascinating. It was an exchange between Prabhupada and one of his servants.
Can I continue?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, to bring it back. Okay, let's see. I can share, just because there's so much variety in the spiritual world and everything, this is a little personal thing that many years ago, when I was still considering myself a Christian, as sort of a frustrated Christian, but I didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness yet. I one day had a thought: if we're made in God's image, then we must be emotionally in God's image too. So He's got feelings like we got our feelings from Him, so we like to socialize with our peer group. So He has no peer group, but we got this feeling from Him. So in all of creation, I was thinking, there's no other God. So I just felt so sad for Him that He has no peer group like I have. And I thought, we little tiny souls can't satisfy. So what's He going to do? He has nobody.
Expand yourself.
So I found out about Krishna consciousness. After I've been studying Krishna consciousness for years, I remembered that thought.
Oh, you were having that thought before?
Before.
Wow.
Yes, before I knew anything about
That was super soul.
there was just, one God up there with a beard or something, and he's just sitting there
that's
controlling.
far on.
And so maybe it was a memory from past life or
Yeah,
something.
it was.
So why doesn't He have anybody? And He's got everybody. He's having the time of His life. He's got all kinds of peer group. Because for one thing, just because you're tiny and you only have 78% of the qualities, if you're up there, you got 78% in full, and you're part and parcel, and He's playing, and He likes you to be equal and superior. And He's playing, He's having a great time. He is not lonely, He's not sad, He's not in a fix. So I was very nice, I had that thought and that worry, and then I remembered after I was a devotee, I remember thinking that, yes, much better. I was happy. And so, anyway, that was one thought to share. Back to this Yoga Maya thing. Arjuna was covered by, we're talking about Arjuna. He certainly, as an eternal associate of Krishna, actually by the time Krishna's, all his pastimes are always going on in different universes. Simultaneously, they're just different, it's like a roadshow going. So Arjuna must be in different pastimes in different universes at the same time. So Arjuna must be expanding this somewhat too. But not unlimitedly into every atom, like, we have, other souls have their limits. But
The main point with that, I'm thinking, is that when Krishna says, I can remember all of them.
yes, Arjuna can't remember.
Yeah,
He can't remember.
Get
But he's
mind.
not just singular, he's multiple in some ways, something's going on. So anyways, he was put into Yoga Maya so that he could ask Krishna, so that he could have this meltdown and ask Krishna, what do I do? What about having to kill all these relatives? How is this moral? And so Krishna was able to explain the whole Bhagavad Gita to everybody, to us, because Arjuna needed to hear it. And Arjuna needed to hear it because Krishna put him into Maya. Yoga Maya helped, whatever. Anyways, so that's an example of Yoga Maya too. And
What I was wondering though is when you say that about the roadshow, I just like, okay, so Lord Brahma is a post.
yeah.
So is it possible then that the Arjuna in the other universes is a different Arjuna?
This I don't know. But he's Narayan Rishi. Narayan Rishi is the same. Arjuna is, I think he's one of the gopis also. So anyway, Krishna says, you've been with me in many pastimes, you can't remember. So it is the same, Arjuna. So actually it might not be Okay, there's the Krishna pastime, the Ramachandra pastime, and then the Singha pastime like that. So maybe I'm wrong in saying that Arjuna is multiplying presently, in all the different pastimes, when they were young cousins and when they're old cousins. That may be taking it too far. But anyways, whenever Krishna is Krishna in the universe and has this demon situation to deal with, and Arjuna is there as his best friend, and so it's the same Arjuna, but Arjuna does not remember because he has to take a different body every time. However, he's an eternal associate of Krishna. Very, very complicated and richness, and if you try to get it all figured out and cut and dried and everything, you can look things up, and you end up with confusing things, but it's richer and richer. By the way, just for anybody, like this is being recorded and people will read this, how to study this stuff? Well, one thing is indexes in the books. If you have hard copy, if you have the books, then they have really good indexes. And you can look up lots of topics that way. Have a notebook, write it down, or you'll forget what you looked up. And other way is if you get Pocket Vedas, app called Pocket Vedas, so you can look up all the books right on your phone. And then you can have
That's a Veda-based?
No, Pocket Vedas is a special app. Yeah, ask my husband about it. It's called Pocket Vedas.
Is that the Veda-based?
No, it's just the books, and you can cross-reference and bookmark and search every word.
It has a search bar, and you can search all the topics by the search bar.
Just Prabhupada books.
Yeah,
Just
the
Prabhupada's books,
yeah.
and Brahma Samhita. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Brahmson.
Yeah, you can have a topic. You can say, okay, Shakti Vaishavata. And you can find like tons and tons and tons, and you look through and try to find one that will satisfy your particular question. So you look through and you write down and stuff. So if anybody wonders how I do my study, I thought maybe I should share that because otherwise it might seem mysterious to.
Well, let me ask you something. So is that something that somebody in ISKCON produced, or is that something that's coming from Google or somebody like that?
ISKCON.
Yeah, Desire Tree or something, isn't it?
ISKCON Desire Tree. They put it together. They're genius. When you get your new phone, we can get it on for you. I think it's about $14.
He's already
It's $14.
So he's buying me a new phone.
We'll find you one.
might
We'll
be-
find you a free phone.
You might get a free phone at C-Spire if you're lucky.
And you too.
So anyways,
Oh, two.
one more thing, 111:39. This is in the first canto when Krishna is returning to Dwarka, and everybody is coming out and greeting him in their different ways and their different relationships. So let's see. I got to turn it this way. Maybe it won't behave. This is 38, so I want 39. Okay, 39. The simple and delicate women. Okay, this is talking about the. So now we've got it. Simple and delicate women. Okay, anyways, it's self-explanatory. 39. The simple and delicate women truly thought that Lord Sri Krishna, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. So they're greeting him. He's been absent. He's coming back. Right? So they're all happy to see him. They were unaware of the extent of the glories of their husband, as the atheists are unaware of him as the supreme controller. That's in an indirect way, without using the words. That's talking about the two kinds of Maya, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. And now the first couple sentences. Even the transcendental wives of Lord Sri Krishna, the transcendental because they're expansions of Radharani, many of them, and then there's of course others who are becoming pure devotees, did not know completely the unfathomable glories of the Lord. This ignorance is not mundane, because there's some action of the internal potency of the Lord in the exchange of feelings between him and his eternal associates. So Yoga Maya acts to perfect these exchanges, these eternal exchanges. So, and they happen whether it's in the earthly pastimes or in the spiritual world eternally. Same thing. It's transcendental. There's transcendental loving exchanges helped by Yoga Maya. So, okay, now I will stop here because that's all the things that I wrote down. So
the 2 inches that
2
was
inches
mentioned, the 2 inches, yeah. So the way it was finally made up, because every time she would add a length of rope, and it was still 2 inches short. And it would add. So the rope could have been as long as this room, by the end. But it was always 2 inches short. That she would say, maybe put a foot on it, but still 2 inches too short. And it's because, the only way it actually was finally because you can't tie the Supreme Personality of God. You can't. But when he saw how much she was trying, because of her effort, her effort was so intense, he gave 1 inch.
Yeah.
And then the second inch was because it was just, she earned that inch, but then the final inch was simply Krishna Kripa. It was just his mercy towards her, because she was obviously really so devoted and he really appreciated it.
That's nice, thanks. And it's interesting though that in the story that's being quoted here, and even Prabhupada backs it the way he describes it, in this particular incident that Lord Brahma is describing to Narada Muni, she gave up. And then Krishna opened his mouth and showed her. So what she was learning is about something, got some impression of his mystic power and mystic potency, but she didn't think he was God. So she was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son. So the incident, as it's told here, she saw him as somebody with some mystic potency. And in the story that we're familiar with in Krishna book, it's like you're saying, she tried so hard, and by her devotion, Krishna allowed. And at a different time, she wanted to see if he ate dirt, and she looked at his mouth.
Right.
Different purposes of different stories that are in different times. They probably all happened in different ways like this.
So I'd like to just relate something, because not many people, it is recorded, but so for many years, several years, I've been chanting my rounds before Mangalarti. And recently someone said to Colleen, well, what's the big deal about chanting your rounds before Mangalarti? Then you missed everything in the evening and like that. And it was on my mind. It just, I felt like, I always thought that was a good thing. And I still think it's a good thing. But someone said like that to my wife, and she told me, and it hurt. But then I started to analyze, maybe there's something to it. But all I know is that ever since that has happened, not every day, but a lot, for some reason, the same time frame, I'm 2 rounds short.
You have to try harder, get another round, and then Krishna gives you mercy.
And then sometimes what will happen is because I'm used to having them done, right?
Right.
So then I, just go about my day. When I finish here, I just go out and do then all of a sudden I'll be laying there, ready to go to sleep, and I'll go, or I've already fallen asleep, and then I have to get up to use the bathroom, and I go, oh my God, I still have 2 rounds left.
What I see is it's nice that you're doing that. I personally don't have that strength or anything. But I see when different great personalities, like Joe Prabhupada himself, that's what they would do. They would get up very early and then try to chant as much as they
Well,
can.
that's what I'm.
2 hours is the most auspicious time. So I find that's
I'm just trying to follow that example, and I actually have become really attached to it, and I really see the advantage of it. Although it hasn't made me a great personality or even a Vaishnava, but at least it's helping me. And I get so much anxiety if I don't have them done before. I don't understand how anyone else, I don't understand how it's possible. Because I'm so much anxiety about getting that vow done. And so I want to get it done, because once I start the day,
Yeah, there's a lot of distraction.
so much distraction.
Yeah.
But I've actually found myself like, oh no. And I still have a few hours before, because I go to sleep so early. I still have a couple hours, and then I do my last 2 rounds. It's just really weird. I don't know why. For some reason, that's been happening. Like today, I have 2 rounds left. I don't know why. Yesterday, I finished them all. This was a good week. Last week was, but this week, I was starting off with 1. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
I've never been able to do that.
I never used to be able to either. I'm telling you that it's not because, it just has to do with the things that I went through with surgeries and car accidents. I didn't plan, it just happened to me. And maybe I was desiring like that, I probably was, and praying for it. And then I got this opportunity. So I'm trying to take advantage of it. But I never take it for granted. and quite frankly, I can say honestly, you know, the rounds themselves, they need to be improved. So I'll tell you, I heard something. You don't have anything else? Because I heard something very interesting. It was a pastime from, remember Hari Swami, one of the former gurus. He actually did a memories with Siddhanta. It's the most recent one, I think. There may be some that'll be coming out soon that have already been done, but this is number 77. And I just got this new flash drive that has everything on it, except for some that have already been done that I have to get. But anyway, he's telling this one pastime with Srila Prabhupada. I can't remember the whole thing. And he'd been serving out prasad. He had cooked and then served out prasadam. I believe this was in Vrindavan or Mayapur. And he had served out prasadam to Prabhupada and to his guests. Now his guests, I can't remember whether they were Prabhupada's godbrothers or other disciples or something, but he had been serving it out for everyone. And then Prabhupada said, "Now you eat." And I said, "Well, I haven't finished serving." He said, "No, sit down and eat." So he sort of sat by the door from the back way to get the rest of the prasadam and the main room, and he started to take prasadam. And then at some point Prabhupada said, "I'd like some more sabji. Could you give me some more sabji?" And so then he's been eating. So about 10 feet away is a sink to wash his hands. So he starts to walk towards him. He goes, Prabhupada goes, "No, where are you going?" He says, "I have to wash my hands." He said, "No, a Vaishnava doesn't, and if a Vaishnava is serving prasadam, it doesn't matter." And he immediately thought, "Oh, this is a conundrum." Because this is the way he thought. He said, so then once he said that, a Vaishnava is going to take serve, and he's going to serve another Vaishnava, there's no need for that. And he immediately thought, "Okay, I'm not a Vaishnava." So he did it, and he ran anyway, and washed his hand, and went back. So that's a very interesting kind of loving exchange like that. I thought that was really sweet.
I've got another one. Maybe you've heard this one. Maybe you can tell me. I think it had to do with heritage. And it was like making chapatis or something. And how it was very austere and very hard, because every place they would go, there would be hardly any way to make the chapatis, whether you'd have maybe an electric stove or some kind of, or the fuel was not good enough, or the flame wasn't high enough.
Or the flour wasn't any good. Or,
yeah.
I mean, he tells the story again in a very definitive way, and really dramatic. He acts it all out. It's fantastic.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
the point was, he was telling Prabhupada, nobody can make a chapati.
In that kitchen, no one can make a chapati.
So Prabhupada did, right?
Yeah.
And he said, Prabhupada goes, "Nobody?" So he goes, "Nobody. Nobody?
Yeah.
Nobody." Prabhupada gets up and walks in there, and he sits down, and Harikesh is sitting behind him, and Prabhupada just starts making the dough, and he said Prabhupada was expert at rolling a perfect circle, like rolled it out. He's like that, puts it on the fire with the thong. It didn't pop. And he's behind Prabhupada. And it understood it. He just goes, and Prabhupada heard, he looked back, took more dough, and rolled it up. Perfectly. Then takes the chapati and throws it, hits him in the nose.
Oh my gosh.
Hits the chapati right in the nose.
Wow.
You gotta see him tell it. It's fantastic. It's like it's an amazing little skit he does. Amazing story.
He's still around?
Yeah, I think last time I saw him. I don't know if he's still there, but he had bought a house in the Alachua or Gainesville area. Yeah, that's it right there.
Is it Hari?
It's just advertising.
Yeah, but now he wants to be called Hari. Harikesh, yeah. He was he was in charge of Russia and
Yeah.
Germany and Sweden, places like that. But he was
Yeah.
Prabhupada's secretary, servant.
He had arguments with Prabhupada because he didn't want to leave him. Prabhupada wanted him to go preach. So he had these arguments.
He tells also a very interesting story about this discussion about the Prabhupada's scholarship or the accuracy of Prabhupada's Sanskrit translation. But I'll just tell you quickly that, because he gives a very long, detailed explanation of how difficult it was to transcribe. So many things that you wouldn't even think of that would be problems. But they had some very, very respected South Indian Sanskrit scholar came to stay with them for a while, who very much appreciated Srila Prabhupada's work. At one point there was a discussion in the room and about the meaning of one word. And even the scholar, they were all kind of, and he didn't mention who else was in the room, but Anupa Prabhu was there, and he was there, the scholar. And Prabhupada sitting there, he said, Prabhupada did this in this very, just the way he does it, he explains this. Prabhupada is looking at the word, and everybody's discussing, and he said that Prabhupada, in a very humble way, he said, I think it means that. And then all of a sudden, the scholar goes, it was like his mind was blown, like, he had so much respect for Prabhupada. That Prabhupada had such advanced knowledge of the meaning of Sanskrit. So this discussion about Prabhupada and his Sanskrit, and whether it's, the scholars, whatever, take that for what it's worth.
Well, there's a similar story of the great Sanskrit scholar looked it up in his advanced books, looked up this one obscure meaning that he doubted. And he found that there it is listed. So that's a similar kind of story.
And then what Prabhupada said, I'm not writing these books. Super slow. Krishnadas Kaviraj, he said, Lord Chaitanya is writing these books. He said that, then another place he says, Madan Mohan is writing these books. I'm not writing. I'm blind. I think he said he was deaf, and he's trembling like this. So how can I be writing?
Lame, yeah.
And he's blind. He's 99 or 97 years old. He said, I'm not writing. Krishna's writing. I'm simply the tool, the instrument.
It's all so amazing.
Hare Krishna. Jai Jagannath, Jai Balaram, Jai Subhadra. I pray that there's a great success in Rath Yatra today.
So all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.